And yet, as I've already said, how do I square that with the example of intolerance on the part of people who deserve to be our heroes as libertarians? There is no doubt in my mind that no one has done more to spread the fundamental ideas of free markets than Ludwig von Mises. There's no doubt in my mind that few people, if anybody, nobody has done more to develop a popular following for many of these ideas than Ayn Rand. And yet there is no doubt that both of them were extremely intolerant. I recall a personal episode. At the first meeting of the Mont Pelerin Society, the founding meeting in 1947 in Mont Pelerin, Switzerland, Ludwig von Mises, of course, was one of the people who was there. I was also, and we had a series of discussions on different topics, and one afternoon we had a discussion on problems of the distribution of income, taxes, progressive taxes, and so on. Now, I may say that the people in that room included Friedrich von Hayek, Fritz Machlup, George Stigler, Frank Knight, Henry Hazlitt, John Jukes, Lionel Robbins, Leonard Read, whom you referred to. Hardly a group of people you would regard as leftists. But in the middle of that discussion, von Mises got up and said, "You're all a bunch of socialists," and stomped out of the room. You need only read Barbara Brandon's book, a fascinating book on Ayn Rand, to recognize that what I've said applies to her. And she has a story in there which covers both Rand and von Mises. You may remember, but I'll read it to you in quote. One evening, the Hazlitts, that was Henry Hazlitt, whom I mentioned, invited Anne and Frank to dinner with Dr. and Mrs. von Mises. The evening was a disaster. It was the first time Anne had discussed moral philosophy in depth with either of the two men. My impression, she was to say, was that von Mises did not care to consider moral issues, and Henry was seriously committed to altruism. We argued quite violently. At one point, von Mises lost his patience and screamed at me. We did not part enemies, except for von Mises at the moment.
Yeah.
On Channel 13, Milton Friedman is presenting a program called Free to Choose. Deals with the free market, his view of free market capitalism.
Yeah.
If you have seen it, could you comment on it?
Milton Friedman on Channel 13 is presenting a program on his view of capitalism. If I've seen it, will I comment on it? Yes, I've seen it, 5 minutes of it. Literally, and that was enough for me, because I know Milton Friedman's ideas anyway. He is not for capitalism. He is a miserable eclectic. And do you know, incidentally, what he objects to objectivism on what ground he does? He is an enemy of objectivism. We bring morality into economics. Economics should be amoral. Well, look, I don't always like what Channel 13 puts on, but they have much better things than that. The circus, for instance.